Welcome back to Life and Style, this Relationship Wednesday. We are now on the segment Ask Pastor Chris. This is that segment where we talk to the young people. They've got all kinds of questions concerning relationships, and we go out to various schools, various colleges, wherever we are invited, and I go out and answer the questions of the young people. If you want us to come and shoot from your location, you just need to write us life and style at standardmedia.co.ke. The and is a symbol, not the word. So life and style at standardmedia.co.ke. Remember to keep the conversation going on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style. Also, follow us on our social media platforms at KTN Life_Style for both Instagram and Twitter, and KTN Life and Style on Facebook. The number to text is 22840. We today are at the KCA University, Kenya College of Accountancy University, and I'm hanging out with these great students out over here. How is everybody doing? Yeah. You all right? Yeah. Are you excited to be on Life and Style? Ask Pastor Chris. Yes. All right, so we're hanging out here. KCA is along Thika Road. It's around the survey area, and I'm going to be taking questions from them in a short while, so you also could keep sending your questions also on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram. Who wants to go first with their question today?
In relationships, in terms of when you're in a relationship with a guy, you find at times if he gets quiet and he finds it safe to do that. So as ladies, we find it so annoying. At times we want to reach out to the other person, but how do you guys want us to do that? As in, at the same time, you want to keep quiet, but it pops out ideas like, this guy is cheating on me, or what's the problem? As in, he wants the relationship to end. How do we reach out to people like those?
Well, normally men find it safe to go into the place of silence. That's not an excuse though, but they always find it safe to go there when they're dealing with various issues. And you're right, they could be wanting to end a relationship, but sometimes it's just their own things. Sometimes the person is bored. Sometimes they've got a lot of pressure or they've got stress. But because you're in a relationship with somebody, you have the right to know what's going on at that particular point. So it is okay for you to try and reach out to them and find out what's happening. Sometimes you may need to just ask for a face-to-face. If they keep blocking that, then the best thing for you to do is to withdraw, not from the relationship, but give them time so that you allow them the time either to come back or for the thing to end. You cannot make assumptions on things that have not been said. It is a very dangerous place to assume that when somebody's quiet, he's cheating on you. And that's something that ladies should just stop having that in their minds, because you cannot have a relationship with somebody you don't trust. So that should never be the first thing that somebody's thinking about. Sometimes some people just don't know how to open up when they're going through tough issues. But you need to give some space. Then when that time, probably a week or two, if they're not coming out of it, then you need to demand to have a conversation. That will give you clarity whether there's still hope for a relationship or not. So if they still don't want to talk to you past 2 weeks, I think no matter what somebody's dealing with, a 1 week, 2 week period is a good enough window for them to deal with it. So if they don't want to talk past that point, then you probably will begin to get the signal.
But don't you think it's better for somebody to alert you, yes, I have an issue, so let's pray about it, instead of just keeping quiet?
It is better, but life is not always ideal. You know, it is better. People have grown up differently. They've got different personalities. There are people who grew up being caged in. They were not allowed to speak out while growing up. You're meeting them at the point where they are 20 years or something. That's who they have been for about 20 years. They're not changing overnight because of a relationship. Some of them had to learn how to bottle things in, depending on the families they grew up, their personality types, depending on the exposure levels, depending on their treatment from other people. So you cannot make a very quick judgment about a person. Some of them, you give them time and then they begin to come out. So you should allow them the space. When you see that they really need the space, you should allow them the space. When they feel safe, they'll talk about it. Safety is actually the key to people being open. When they feel safe to talk to you, they will talk about it.
It's a long courtship in a relationship.
Are you talking about long distance?
I mean, the long time you took in a relationship justified the success of the relationship, or it's just a matter of getting the right guy?
Well, there are pros and cons to everything, including having courtship for long. The benefit of that is that you have a longer opportunity to make your decision about the person you want to be with. And then you see them in different phases and in different seasons. As opposed to if you were with somebody for a very short while, you'll probably see just one shade of them. When you have been with somebody longer, you have seen them when your relationship begins and it is on a high, then it gets to a place where it's stabilizing, so it gets to a flat. Probably it gets to the conflicts, it gets to places of fights, the friction, then it gets to a place of stability. That's the benefit of a longer courtship. A shorter one may just end or mature into something like marriage at the point where everything is still on a high. You know, you met this girl, you're very excited about her. It's 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, 5 months, you're still all on a high, and then you've moved on to the next stage. That means that the changes will take place in your next phase. So there is the benefits of the long courtship, but long courtship does not guarantee the success of the relationship. The success of a relationship is dependent on the two people. No matter how many advantages there are to the long courtship, and that long is also relative. To some people, 2 years is long. To some people, 1 year is long. You know, it depends on how much time people spend together, how much they know each other, what kind of phases and stages their relationship has matured to or gone through. So it will still come down to the two people. If the two people want it to work, it will work. Some people, after a long courtship, cannot stay together for long because they feel like it's like you have unraveled all the mystery about your partner and you feel there's nothing else exciting. Again, that's about people's personality. So it all comes down again to whether the two people really want it to work. It could be an advantage. It could be a good way to lay a very solid foundation, but it's not a guarantee.
Is it right to keep the friendship or date your ex again?
You can keep the friendship because relationships are very fluid. You see, relationships are matters of the heart. And the heart is not a wall, it's not a brick, it's not concrete. There are times when people have fallen out and then later on they look back, they think through the things that caused them to break up and they feel like they did not have valid reasons, or they look back in retrospect and decide, I think that was a good person, a good lady or a good man. The thing about it is that at the point where you break up, that is the tricky point to try and keep friendship, because a breakup is supposed to be very clear and then give space to the two people now to think through their lives. If they want to move on, they move on. So it should never be something that you try to make work mechanically immediately after a breakup and then you say, look, I still want us to be friends, because usually that leads to complication. But where you have broken up and you have had time to yourselves and you have recovered yourselves and you both still feel that probably you can work it out, there's really nothing wrong with that. Because through the processes, the pain, the heartbreaks, you grow. You grow, and then you've had opportunities to meet other people, and you may even have met other people, gone on and met other people, then it didn't work, and you begin to reflect and begin to see somebody else. Sometimes you see the good in one person because you have seen through other experiences that what you thought was not good was really good. So there's really nothing wrong with getting back together.
So now, in a relationship, there is a way you can start with a person maybe from far, you have been together, then it comes a time you look, maybe you observe, maybe for a girl you have been together. So now you come to a level you see you need to marry, but there is a characteristic you observe from this person and you see maybe, I will not be able to put up with, and you need to break that. And when you break, you don't want to cause that enmity. So is there a way you can just do it well without causing that enmity, because maybe you might be neighbors or anything?
You're asking about how to break up? Yeah, because you've said a lot of stuff, but the bottom line is you're asking how to break up. And I get that question a lot, and I always say keep it simple. Let it be clear. Let it be objective and respectful. If you cannot go on with somebody because of a particular issue, don't try to bring other issues into that. Don't justify your decision. You know, it should be very clear to the person. Most of the times when people break up, the other person wants to have closure. And even though it will hurt the person that called the breakup, for example, if you wanted to break up with somebody, it's not easy for you either to break up because there's somebody that you wanted to be with, but it is harder for the other person. The reason is you have your reasons. You know why. You have your cause. You've thought through it. It is premeditated. Then they come and hear you at a certain point saying, we can no longer go on. They begin to ask themselves a lot of questions because they want to know, were they not good enough? Is there somebody else in your life? Did they wear you out? Is it something that they did? Don't you trust them? And it begins to work on their self-esteem. So it's very good for you to be clear. You know, you keep it simple, keep it to the point, keep it very respectful, and then you allow that person to deal with the heartbreak. Allow them to deal with it the way they will. Don't expect them to deal with it the way you want. If they have invested their hearts in you, they will be heartbroken. They may go crazy a bit or something. You've got to allow them that. It's like allowing somebody to go through their mourning process. You can't determine how their mourning process is, but you allow them to do that, and then don't add any other thing that was not in them. So don't start saying, if you had one issue with them, don't add 15, you know. Don't start maligning them. Don't start talking about them everywhere, because all you wanted was for them to leave your life. Once they've left your life, don't get involved. You just make sure that they can move on to the next person. Maybe what is a problem to you is not a problem to somebody else.
Which criteria can you use to judge that your relationship is moving smoothly? Which criteria can you use to judge that you have a strong relationship?
Well, a strong relationship, first of all, you've got to define what's the purpose of your relationship, because you cannot know that something is moving smoothly if you don't even know the direction it is supposed to move. You know, there has got to be certain things that you had set as ground rules for you to first of all know that it will be moving and moving smoothly. So what are the things that you're looking for? That's where your relationship should start. What kind of person did you want? What do you want to achieve? What do you want them to help you achieve? Once you're clear about that, then you can define whether you're working well, because you've got clear goals and you can see that you're meeting those goals. But then again, where there is issues of, when you have somebody who is trustworthy, somebody who is reliable, somebody who is truthful, when you have people who, they're not afraid of you, but they're still respectful still, they bring out the best of you, they bring the elements of friendship, they communicate well, they challenge you, yet they still know their place. I think that's a good relationship. Most of the times we look for the things that are mostly external. Both ladies and men are guilty for that. We look for the things that are external. But you got to look at the person and you look at their commitment to the relationship. You look at their willingness to handle issues and resolve them. You look at the sacrifices they make to make the relationship work. When you can find somebody who's got an 80% effort, then you can ignore the 20%.
First, do you think dating has an age? And do you think there's something like dating for fun?
Well, I don't think dating has an age. About dating for fun, do I think there's something like that? I don't even want to think like that. I don't even want to think like that. I think that if anything is for fun, it should stay at the level of friendship, unless the definition of dating is different from what I would think that you are saying. If it is a commitment of two people in a relationship, then it should not be for fun, because eventually, no matter how much you say that we are just in it for fun, the day you say it is over, somebody's going to get hurt. So you cannot play games with hearts. You know, you can't date for fun. You'd rather keep it at the friendship level, where you just know this is a good friend of mine and we hang out when we can hang out, we meet when we can, we do certain things together, but there are no strings attached, because you are setting up yourself for wounds. When it comes to age, I say this again, that it is more about stage. It's more about stage. You can be 30 and you feel you're not ready. You can be 35 and your time is so consumed in other things. You're probably doing your business, running your company, you're establishing that, or starting up in your career and in school and in several other things, that you don't even have time to give somebody if they came into your life. And it would not be fair to bring somebody into your life knowing very well you don't even have time for yourself. So it's things that you look at in terms of stage, you look at it in terms of your priorities at that particular point. For example, if I am in high school, that may not be a priority. I may not be looking at this stage. When you're in college at this stage, you may not want to go too deeply into a relationship because you can't define your next level. You have some years to be in school, and you know you're not getting married in the next 4 months or something, so you don't want to get there. It's a matter of stages, preparation, priorities. So when you get into a relationship, you are whole, you're mature, you are able to give yourself to the other person without it affecting everything else that you do.
You are in a relationship, like for us men, then you find that the girl you love most is cheating you with your best friend. At the same time, you don't
At that
want
point, he's no longer your best friend. But
okay, you don't want now to break that relationship between you and your guy, the best friend of yours who is a guy. At the same time, you love that girl. So how can you treat that?
I think it's a very difficult place, and I think you see somewhere along the line what most people would easily do, what the man would easily do, because I didn't hear you say you don't want to break the relationship with a girl. You thought about not breaking the relationship with a man. And you see, that is where the lack of fairness comes in, because this is not something that has been committed by one person. It is not one person that has betrayed you. In fact, of the two of them, it is your friend that has betrayed you the most. But you easily would sacrifice the girl for your friend, and that shows you where that girl has been in your hierarchy, that your friends are closer. I think in that particular case, when you discover that that has happened, it is good to talk to both of them. Have a sit down and say, I know that this is going on and I'm not happy about it, I've been wounded about it, and then you try and find a solution. Because trying to victimize one person and forgiving the sins of another person when both of them have committed that is not justice, and it is not fair, because trust would have been broken on both sides.
You have been in a relationship with a girl, you have loved each other, then there comes a time she walks out, she leaves you, then you clearly know the other guy she's in love with, then at some time she gets wasted, and there she comes back. Despite the fact that you loved her and she left you, she comes back with a handful of reasons, telling you why you should accept her back. What should you do?
Well, that happens a lot, or rather that does happen. People make decisions based on circumstances. Several factors do determine people's decision-making process. Sometimes they will make foolish decisions. Sometimes they will make decisions based on pressure. Sometimes out of insecurity, fear. Whatever the case is, people do make mistakes with their decisions. So you have to weigh whether what they are telling you makes sense and whether you are in the place where you can accept them back. That's a very personal decision that you got to make. But somebody coming back because they left you, that is not something that is outrageous. It is not something that is unusual. People do a lot of things. Even when they have gotten married, they can do anything and then come back. So it depends on your strength to forgive. It depends on their willingness to go forward with you from that point and commit. It depends on your ability to sort out the issues that first made them leave. It's a whole thing. But don't judge people based on one decision that they made. There's always a lot of factors to one decision. Well, we don't have all the time, so we're going to come to a conclusion right now. But you know that you can keep your questions coming on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style, and Ask Pastor Chris. It's been such a delight to be here at the KCA and talk to these young people and answer their questions. Remember to follow us and keep on following us on our social media platforms at KTN Life_Style, both for Instagram and Twitter, and on KTN Life and Style on Facebook. Well, it's been a delight being with you. I want you to text us, I want you to write us, email us, lifeandstyle@standardmedia.co.ke if you want us to come to your college and have Ask Pastor Chris at your school or college. Until the next time, remember tomorrow is Inspiration Thursday, but until next Wednesday, Relationship Wednesday, have a great day. God bless you.